Just comments and everything about how you're eating.
And I'm like, it's not that I'm not, I have a work purpose. Yeah, no, I am. I'm great paid and packing on.
Oh, Tom, I'm assuming you. Hey. Yeah, exactly. Well, if you don't see it, they ask you to do something for certain reasons that didn't hear you or didn't see you. Well, it's this Thursday, Friday. So Thursday is the catheterizations for the go-in. Hard. You want to check everything out. See if it's any worse than better, any different things to be prepared for. Friday morning, open heart. So it's going to be at least 3 hours to sing. She's 77 years old.
He also wants to go on a tour to Columbia.
Scary. That's where she'd gone when they found it. She'd been sitting there. She's a little nervous.
They kept you busy.
Wow. 100 miles an hour, girlfriend.
I have the black.
That's great.
In fact, I figured out how I don't fully hide it, and I like it.
Sounds like a sequel trend. Let's see who's doing that. Front body has grown around it. She had the surgery. Right. And incision in the skull. What? Wow. 45 minutes. Perfectly fine. You don't even literally put a band-aid on it. When you see the CAT scan, here on the stomach, I was like, it's frightening. It's like, here's a side view of your head. And there's this mass that starts to break through it. And you can't something happened at birth. Wow. Somebody, you just have the joke in another. Maybe should be smarter now. The brain's going to fill in. It'll only hold. Exactly. Things you can do now. Even the catheterization is coming to zero. Yes, they used to. Yes, right. They used to do it that way. It's the only way you could do it. Right. Innovation is definitely very good. Oh, you got right to the chase.
Well, it is. It's not how much longer this is for us, right?
Yeah. I hope the church is not heavily invested Yep.
Did you ever learn to play it?
These are technically different candles. This is technically.
I always going to learn how to play the cello in my next one. I love the sound of it. Oh. But yeah, I love the cello.
Guys, all ready for some molten snow we're going to have Monday night? Supposedly the forecast is now 3 to 5.
Rowing. Yeah. That's kind of fun. I mean, I actually like snow. I have snowshoes in the back of my car.
Yep. There you go.
Snowshoe in any given moment. And,
I'm hoping to not put gas in the smoke.
oh, well,
I don't need the fire.
yeah.
Well, I have to move my snow because I actually have the lawnmower in the front now, so I got to move that with the third. It was like, okay, well, we don't have to do it. I won't move it.
Oh, man, now I got to move.
He's in Florida.
What's he doing? Oh, my God. I don't recognize him with the beard.
Yep. That's the treasurer. He's going to do his treasury report. Remote.
When did he get the beard?
A while ago. But you haven't seen these kids in that, right? Yeah, I was going to say, it's been a while. He's spending a long time down in Florida.
I love that sweater she has on because I raised two students. Oh, Maggie and Tracy.
No way.
It was with the baby, 8 feet or something?
There's no snow on the ground in downtown LA. There's all these pictures of the hills around LA. These pictures of palm trees. And the people that live up in the hills, I mean, they're like, this doesn't happen. Second time in 100 years. You need help? You okay?
I need you guys not to swear in front of the camera because you're live streaming right now.
Both of my students.
What's that?
Yeah, the hug is hand bone, and the no, he's the dumbest. So he didn't socialize with other dogs. He didn't really socialize with other people. He's like, I mean, look, I think he'll grow into it. I think he'll and Lola walks really well. It was during COVID. They didn't have it. Scott was just saying.
Yeah, I can hear you. You hear me okay?
Yeah, sounds fabulous.
Good.
Hey everyone, say hi to Jen. Our virtual treasurer.
Shall I begin, Simon?
No, I say your turn yet. I'm just getting everyone. I'm getting the crowd warmed up for Ellen.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll let you know. Don't worry.
Actually, I mean, Jen can go first. Jen, would you prefer to go first?
We have to do the prayer first.
I know, but I don't mean that to be after all of the minutes. That's fine.
Yeah, would you like to go first?
Whatever Ellen would like.
Okay, so we'll do the opening prayer, welcome, opening prayer, appointment of clerk and minutes, and then I guess Jen can go. Great. Sound good?
Stand up there if you want Jen to see you.
Oh. Let's see, oh, here I come, there I am. Hi, Jen. All right, everybody. So welcome to the 2023 annual parish meeting for this amazing church, St. Paul's. Yay. Thank you all for being here. So it's going to be a relatively short meeting. We are here to do our business and then head out into the world and do what we do out in the world. Opening prayer, we're going to call this to order. The meeting is now called to order for the minutes. And now we will let us pray. Loving God, we give thanks for all of the blessings that you have given us in this past year at St. Paul's. We give thanks for every member of this parish, for all of the gifts of time, talent, and treasure that they offer here. We look forward to a wonderful year to begin in 2023. And we pray, God, that you will continue to bless us in all ways and in all that we do, and help us to be your people in the world and to share all of our abundance with those in need. Amen. Amen.
So everyone gets to vote now. It's part of the interactive time. Everyone should have gotten a copy of the minutes, or they've been posted online, or you have them in front of you, and so on. So do I have a volunteer to approve a motion to accept the minutes? I've got Mary over here, I think went up first. Do I have a second? I think in the back. Yes. Okay. And could I get a yay or nay from everyone in the audience? Yay! I'm going to take that as approved. Thank you very much. Next thing we got to do is approve the clerk. And seeing as Anne is the only other one other than me that has a laptop open in front of her, I'm going to assume she's doing it. So anyone want a motion for Anne to take the minutes?
So moved.
Chris? Oh, and Charlie. So we'll get Chris and Charlie as a motion in a second. Everyone, all in favor? Yeah. Well, that was easy, wasn't it? Okay, so we can get going with that, and I'm going to hand over to Jed virtually to do the. Are you sharing screen, by the way, or not?
No.
Okay, good. Okay, so Jed, off you go.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry that I couldn't be there in person. We took a family vacation to St. John, and then we made a detour through Florida. But I'm very grateful to Simon for connecting me this morning. So, in 2022, the church physical plant was fully operational, and its use was no longer restricted by the pandemic. And so the income from our rental groups bounced back and exceeded the levels prior to COVID. However, 2022 still proved to be a very challenging year financially. Our pledge income did not bounce back from the levels prior to COVID, and we did not have the benefit of the paycheck protection loans, which helped us weather the storm in 2021. So there were two big issues that we faced financially in 2022. One was that our pledge income was down $56,000 from the previous year, and this was below what we had budgeted. And we also had several unplanned expenses. Our biggest expense of the year was $34,000 for the replacement of the carpet in the sanctuary. This was something the vestry deliberated over for months. We did not want to spend that money, but parts of the carpet were very worn and they posed a safety issue, so we went ahead and replaced that carpet. And we also spent some money sprucing up the church. We spent about $5,000 doing some painting in the lobby and the rector's office to put the best face possible on the church. So this lower income and these rising expenses converged, and over the summer, we got concerned about a cash flow crisis. Our checking account balance dropped below $30,000. It had been trending lower every month. And so in October, the vestry voted to replenish our operating cash by taking a $40,000 loan from the endowment to be repaid over 4 years. Now, this was done in accordance with the endowment policy. We were not just siphoning money out of the endowment for operating expenses, that we were doing this as a loan. However, as we got towards the end of the year, the pledge payments picked up, And we found that the endowment loan was not necessary, so we did not tap that loan. So we ended the year on fairly stable ground, and as of December 31st, our bank account balance had rebounded to $100,000, which brings us to 2023. So when we developed our 2023 budget, the big decision that the vestry deliberated on was the hiring of an assistant. So the vestry voted to hire a lay assistant at a cost of $70,000 annually. Now this is not a clergy hire. That would have been a higher cost, and it would have had more rigid contract restrictions. We have not hired anybody at this point, but it is in our budget. So during the stewardship campaign in the fall, the congregation pledged a total of $196,000. And that's a $23,000 increase over the previous year. However, our planned expenses still exceed our income, and so our budget shows a deficit of $45,000. I don't like making a budget that has a deficit. However, it is our hope that we will grow our sources of income through rentals, new parishioners, and fundraising events, so that over the course of the year, that deficit will narrow. That is the extent of my financial report. I would just like to recognize our bookkeeper, Gary Attardi, who comes in every week, and he is the guy behind the scenes that greases the wheels of our financial operation. And of course, I'd like to recognize Jennifer Curry, who is the head of our investment committee, and she and her committee prudently manage the endowment of St. Paul's. Are there any questions? Yes, Chris?
So the budget you projected that was about $40,000 short, is that including the cost for the assistant for the year, or how is that factored in?
Yes. So that deficit is for an annual cost of $70,000. Now, of course, we are almost to March, and we have not hired anybody, so 2 months of that budget have gone unspent, so that deficit is already narrowing.
Right. Thank you.
Jane, I just want to clarify too that the $40,000 loan from the endowment is also sitting there unused.
That is correct. We did not tap that. That was authorized. We found that we did not need to use it. We did that at a moment of great financial concern over being able to pay our operating expenses and keeping the lights on. But the pledge payments rebounded at the end of the year, and our coffers were replenished.
A question was just asked to me. What does the lay minister do that's different than a priest? The lay person.
You mean a
I
financial?
think I'll let Ellen answer that question.
From what they do.
The person you're hiring.
The person that we're hiring as a lay assistant would be doing communications, would be head of youth and family ministries, would be doing some, adult formation, those kind of things. The difference is financially, if you pay a clergy person in this diocese, an Episcopal clergy person, you're required to pay minimum salary that is set by the diocese. You are required to offer medical benefits, housing benefits, and 18% pension on top of what the salary that you give them. And it's exorbitant. So that's why we chose to go with a lay person and not a clergy person.
So it's kind of like
It's basically it's basically an assistant, but not in the worship sense, meaning they won't celebrate communion, they won't be doing any of those things.
like what Betsy LaBella was. She was lay, and she did Sunday school and different things.
Right, exactly.
A question in the back?
Hey,
Is it possible that the job of a layperson can be done by an intern?
Like a student?
Like a student,
Like a George?
right,
George.
right, like a student seminarian.
Well, it would be a full-time job, and if we get a seminarian, we actually tried to hire a seminarian. We tried to hire somebody from Drew. We put this job out there. Originally, it was part-time, but we did put this out there, and there was just no interest at all. We got no response. This is now a full-time position, and it has a salary as part of the, since we are a church in the diocese, we have to offer a layperson 9% pension. We're technically supposed to offer them medical benefits, but we're putting that out there right up front that we are not able to do that at the salary level that we're offering, but we are offering salary plus pension. The other thing with a seminarian, like George, when George was here, the seminarians get a stipend. The majority of in that program that had George here, it was very part-time. They get a small stipend, but they're not here to be responsible for anything other than their learning, right? They're getting their formation in the church. And they're normally now only here for a year. So it would be slightly helpful, but not really. And also there's oversight. There has to be a teaching committee made up of parishioners, as well as oversight by the priest in charge or the rector, who has to answer back to the seminary and report and do all of those things for a seminarian in the type that we have with George. So we're looking for a full-time layperson experienced in these areas so that they can actually help us support and expand all of those programs that we want to do. I mean, right now we have very little adult formation. We don't have Bible study, we don't have other things, and those things are important. As much as the youth and family ministries is important, it's important for you all to have spiritual development and have a place to come and have offerings as well. So some of that would happen.
Excuse me, I'm, first of all, actually paying, and second of all, I mean, this is I understand you're overworked, and I understand there's more we want to do, but what is this person's background going to be? Social work / active parishioner somewhere? I mean, if they're going to do Bible study, if they're going to do...
The person that we have in mind, the person that we've been interviewing already, who may work out but may not work out because he's trying to move his family here from Texas. This person was recommended to us through the Diocese of Newark. He is a fully ordained Methodist senior pastor. He had run his own church for for years. He wants to move up here to be near family. And he is looking into the possibility of becoming an Episcopal priest. The diocese recommended him to us.
He's a friend of the bishop, right?
He's not a friend of the bishop. The bishop doesn't know him at all. No, this is somebody else. He came to the diocese inquiring about this and about work in the diocese. And they referred him to me because they knew that we were looking for someone. So his qualifications are far above what a normal layperson would offer. If we could get him here, we would be very, very blessed, because he is already has run his own church. He has a lot of incredible experience. Will it work out? I don't know, because we really have to wait until he finds housing. That's why this particular position would be different from just a regular lay assistant who might only be overseeing Sunday school, youth and family ministries, doing some communication, social media for us, those kind of things, like community building. That would, if this person doesn't take the job, then that would be more of what we would be looking for.
It's a year contract.
It will be probably a 2-year contract, normally a 2-year contract. It's difficult to hire somebody who's moving in from out of town for a 1-year contract.
And are they willing to come without full health benefits?
if this person does take the job, and again, this is, one person, this is a completely unique situation. His wife works for an insurance company, and they get benefits through her company.
Will that provide you enough support?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it would.
Okay.
Any support at this point would be really good.
I know
that would be very, very good.
Okay.
So I just want to let everyone know that if you go back a couple of years when Mary was the minister, Mary had a 3/4 time assistant ordained and a seminarian. Okay. Obviously things have changed. And a Christian education director and so on and so on. A lot of things have changed since COVID, and obviously the church finances have gone down significantly. They're coming back, and the vestry deliberated on this pretty much all last year, and came to the unanimous decision that the right thing to do right now was to expand the staff in the church, to have someone whose primary focus was on communications, getting the word out there to the community, and to the young families. Okay, because we need young families to grow the church. We have some new young families amongst us today. We're very happy to see them. But people tell me I'm getting old. I don't have the same appeal anymore. So to new parishioners, I don't know what you were thinking. But no, so we deliberated over this for a long time. And really, I presented a case in the middle of last year, summer I think it was. We had a sort of way forward committee. We spoke to a lot of different people in the organization. And the case I made was that if you're, in my background, when I'm turning around businesses, you invest in a turnaround. You don't reduce costs. Because businesses go down at that point. You need to invest, you need to market, you need to get out there and do something. And that's what we started doing last summer, and it's already working, as Jed told you. We took out a loan for $40,000, we didn't use it. It's still there. We could use it this year if we get a lay assistant in and we still can't make ends meet. We've still got the loan, which we don't want to use. But the fact is, the vestry thought about this for a long time, and it was a unanimous decision on the vestry to go ahead and make this investment in the future of the families in the church and the church itself. So this is not something we've just come up with overnight, and I think there's quite a few vestries. How many were involved in that vote? So those are the folks that you can ask the questions to. Okay, but it was not an overnight decision. But it is, we feel, is the right decision, and obviously we invite all input from the congregation. And one way for you to provide input, by the way, is we still have an empty seat on the vestry. When I go to nominate the vestry, the new vestry members today, we're still short one person. So that is a great way to come in and join in on these conversations and be part of those discussions of how we spend the money and how we do the investments moving forward. Tom, question?
No, it was more of a comment to add on to yours. I think one of the things we're trying to do, at least beginning in 2023, is to try to be able to make St. Paul's more visible, to make St. Paul's more attractive. Right now, you drive by St. Paul's, people don't even know it's a church in many times. They don't even realize that it's a church. We're in the community, people don't, and Simon mentioned this in the thing, people don't even know that we have an Episcopal Church sometimes. Okay, so I think from our point of view, the biggest thing we want to try to do is have someone other than our priest in charge to do marketing, communications, social, and deal with all the other things. She has enough other stuff to do, and for us to have someone that we financially can rely on to be able to provide us that visibility into these things is critical. It's critical to make us grow. It's critical to make us vibrant. It's critical to make us valuable and an asset in this community. So I think we wrestled with it, as Simon said, for a whole year to try to not spend money, but at the other side, if we don't invest, we're going nowhere. We will definitely not.
No, that's great. Okay, so I'm going to keep this moving along unless there's any final questions for Jed. Jed, do you have any additional comments or not?
No, that's everything. Thanks.
Great. And we're not at all jealous about you. Is it St. John to Florida?
Yeah. It's a balmy 80 degrees here today.
Oh! Man! Okay, Okay, Jay, just so you're clear, we will not be making this exception next year. Except perhaps for me.
We're living vicariously
Okay.
through you,
Jen, are you going to stay on or do you want to drop off?
No, I can stay on.
Okay, good. Okay. Just remember, we can see you and you're on the big screen. So, right. So speaking of the vestry,
You want
you want to go straight into that? Okay.
we're out of order today, but we're going with
Well,
it.
we're always out of order. Okay, so so as far as the vestry members are concerned, we have to. Oh, sorry. I'm sure Jed wants to see the back of my neck. How's that? Much better. Yeah. Okay. So we have two things to do here. One is just to thank the outgoing members on the vestry, and I've written everything down to make sure I don't mess up anything. So we just need to appreciate those. Now, by the way, being on the vestry for the last couple of years was not all it was cracked out to be. I mean, it was. Yeah, we had a lot of people that, myself included, that had to stay on without election because of COVID. We had a lot of people that extended their stays on the vestry. We had a lot of people leave the vestry. So I think my hat's off to all the vestry members that hung in there for the last couple of years, and probably what is the worst time that any of us have ever experienced in the church, and in fact I'm sure the church has ever experienced since it's been here in this location since the 60s. So, but we have 3 vestry members that are going off as of today. One is Sarah. Chris Johnson. And Mary. So, just a couple things. Sarah's been the rock on the vestry for, everything, including offering her backyard when we had to have outdoor vestry meetings. If you remember those, with the Zoom at the end, listening to the canon. Say nothing in particular.
And it was freezing too.
It was cold. It was cold, yeah. We had heaters going all over the place. That's how dedicated your vestry is. But no, Sarah's really been the rock, helping out in a lot of different ways as we go through this. Chris has been taking care of the buildings and grounds, and it's been a treat the last couple of years on the buildings and grounds. Everything from boilers not working, the brand new ones by the way, to all sorts of other things. Luckily, there's somebody coming onto the vestry that might actually just sort of fit the bill to take over from Chris and probably do as good a job. And then Mary has kept me sane during the vestry with her text messages to me during the vestry meeting, which I will not share. They go along the lines of, "Oh my God, is this ever going to end?"
Only after 9 o'clock.
So, but yes, we'd like to thank all of you, and I do want to remind you that under the bylaws, as of tomorrow, you're eligible to run again for the vestry. Yes. Oh yes, Eric's going off as senior warden. That's right. I completely forgot. He's not here. So he's not here. So
Eric was not able to be here today. He sends his apologies. He had a pre-planned trip, and he is away.
yes. So and he's not here, so we can all make fun of him now.
He's down in Florida, isn't he, with Jeff?
I don't know. Is he in Florida? I don't know. He's skiing. That's right. Okay, so now we don't have to vote off the old members, but we do have to thank them. So one more round of applause. So now, as for the new vestry members, I see that one is not here today, so I'll start. Andrew Walker's on the slate for vestry. Yeah, he has to be away too. So we're going to be voting on these. Andrew Walker is the first one. Second one is Brad Hugh. And Brad informs me that he travels a lot and may not be able to make all the vestry meetings, and I reminded him that we're on Zoom every single time. And I've even joined from Europe. Okay. And then finally, Brian Siegel. Who, whether he knows it or... I'll get there in a second, yeah. I can't forget Phil. Because he's here. And Brian, whether he knows it or not, is probably going to be buildings and grounds. After all, his name is on the plaque on the wall over there. Okay. So first, let's vote on the vestry slate. Anyone want a motion? Sarah's motioning.
I'll second.
And we got a second here. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I think it's carried. Then we'll move to the wardens. So I am the junior warden, in case you didn't know, which means I do all the work, and then the senior warden takes all the credit. Apparently Eric couldn't handle taking all the credit, so he stepped down. Okay. And Phil has accepted the nomination as senior warden. I was actually asked a couple of questions about this by at the concert last night. People were asking, who's running for senior warden, and I said Phil, and they said, well, I thought he already was. But no, we're very happy to have Phil taking up the position. It is a very important position. He does have the potential of 3 terms.
Wait a minute. He didn't tell me that.
No, 3 of 2. 3 2-year terms. Yes. And now, he's going to be talking about the changes to the bylaws in just a minute, and one of the changes we made is that the senior warden can never step down.
Wait a minute.
And the other thing is, when it comes to issues of the senior warden, his wife cannot vote.
Wait a minute.
So anyway, do we have a motion for senior warden? There we go. Okay, second. Got lots of seconds. And take your pick. Okay. Just say unanimous second. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Now, as the first official job of the senior warden, I would like to hand over to Phil where he can talk about the changes to the bylaws we're making.
But wait a minute, I mean, you're supposed to do it and I just take the credit.
Yes, exactly. Don't forget the part about our salaries.
Oh, yeah. Okay, they're voting for a big increase. Actually, I think we should get 100%. 100% increase.
100% for 0.
Is it not on? Yeah. It's on. You should be able to hear me, right?
Yeah.
Oh, now I can.
So we'll do 100%, but 100%.
100%.
Zero is
Zero.
good.
Yeah. Okay.
So the first order of business, I guess I get to ask you all about is, first, thank you for having confidence in me. I'm a little humbled by all of it, and following Eric, who's had such an interesting term, right?
Yeah.
And whatnot. It's pretty, humbling to stand here being entrusted with something we all love by people who I hold in high regard. And so thank you for that, and I hope this will turn out well for all of us. And maybe my time will be less difficult than Eric's. Let's hope. So one of the things that we wanted to do was to talk about some amendments to our certificate of incorporation and bylaws, which is sort of legalese for the documents that dictate how we do business and how we decide how to spend money and elect officers and all those kinds of things. A lot of that is constrained so that you understand by law. Amazing. And ironically, I bet most of you don't know this, that the Episcopal Church is created by a statute. It's the only church created by a statute in any states. But in the 13 colonies, after they finished ratifying the Declaration of Independence, they had fired the king as head of the church. And so they had to walk across the street and figure out how they were going to organize a church. And the founders used their authority to create an Episcopal church. I don't think they created others. Sort of an interesting sideline. But as a result, our church, unlike all the others, is governed by some restrictions that are in the statutes. And so we're going to go through a little statutory mumbo-jumbo together so that we can comply with the statutes that created our church. The first one is an amendment. We have to vote on them separately because that's what's required. By the way, I can't wait to go to the Morris County clerk and record the documents that reflect this. I've already chatted with them and they said, what? Last time we had to deal with a religious institution was before our institutional memory, which is interesting since the clerk's office was created in 1776. And somehow this church was formed. But anyway, they don't know what to do with the documents either, so that'll be the next interesting step. But the first step is to vote on a change in the number of vestry people that we are having. The statutes allow for various odd numbers that you would never be able to explain. But the one that seems to be sort of best practices is 9. Our current vestry complement, I think, is supposed to be 12 or 13, right? And so that's partially about wanting to make the vestry more efficient. It's also partially about recognizing that there are fewer people who are willing to serve. And trying to be in compliance with what our statutory obligations are, but also having an odd number is something that's generally in the world of boards thought to be a good idea, because in the rare event that there is a deadlock, you don't have one. And just so you get, I'll do a little lawyering with you. If you get a deadlock, you have to go to court to have it resolved. So you can imagine how many years that takes and how happy the judges are to see you show up with whatever your church deadlock is about. So we're going to avoid that by having 9. And so the First Amendment is to switch our certificate of incorporation, which is the actual piece of paper that creates the organization that is the church, so that instead of having 12 vestry people, we now have 9, if you all approve. So that has already been before the vestry, which is also part of the process, and they have unanimously recommended that the parish as a whole adopt this, after talking about it some, I suppose. And after giving you all notice of this through one means or another, hanging on the wall, emails, whatever. And so I guess now we can just vote. I don't even know that we need to have a motion.
I don't think we do.
I don't think so. I think you're confirming as a group what the vestry has already decided is appropriate. So if anybody would like to, we can raise our hands and say yay.
Can I ask a
If
question?
questions? Sure.
Why do we have to vote on this? Why can't we just keep it at 12 and just fill 9 positions?
Because it's actually against the law.
If we
It
can't,
didn't
You
say up
have
to
to,
12.
the requirement of the statute is that there must be the number of vestry people in order for there to be valid decision-making by the vestry. So for example, when the vestry approves the budget and there are only 7 instead of 12, it's actually not legit. And so if some member of the church wanted to go to court and challenge that action, we would be vulnerable to that challenge.
It didn't say up to 12. It says it has to, you have 12 on your vestry. That's the
and
difference.
we are not able to fill 12 seats right now. We are just not able, we don't have enough
We
people
haven't
that
done
have
for a
put
couple
forward, and we haven't been at 12 for quite some time.
Correct.
Actually.
Years, actually.
Yeah.
Can you have more than 9?
So the statute allows us to have 12, 15, or 24. Go figure where those numbers come from. But that's what the statute
Or
says.
12.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking is, in the past, we've had like a youth representative, usually a high school student. So is that something?
Oh, that's still in
would they
there.
factor
That's still in there
into
because
that?
they're separate.
Right.
Because they're not after, it's a separate thing. Yeah.
Right. So that doesn't go away, Kim. We can still do that. Anybody?
So you can't say up to 15 and
You
just
cannot.
9. Got
We
it.
actually looked into that, and there actually, believe it or not, is a case in New Jersey of all places that says that that's not valid. And interestingly enough, for those of you who want to care, that had to do with the church's position on slavery. Right? So these things actually do happen. I mean, these are not theoretical questions, and they happen when people get upset about the kinds of topics that are hot in our country at the moment. And that we don't really want to be the ones, I think, to be making the law easier to comply. So with that, any more questions? Okay, everybody in favor, say aye, please. Aye. Anybody who's opposed, Simon never asks, but I'm going to ask because it's a better way. Those of us who've read Robert's Rules of Order know you're supposed to ask that question, so that if there's anybody who's opposed, they can dare to say that. I see no opposed. Okay. So the second one, believe it or not, we've been having our annual meeting around this time of year for quite some time. Interestingly enough, our forming papers say we're supposed to have it in December, which is some, no doubt, artifice of how traditional fundraising and budgeting worked, and we've just moved to a different cycle. And so the vestry wants to try and change the bylaws and the certificate of incorporation to reflect what we're actually doing. And so that's the second one, is to move it from December to what is essentially the last Sunday in February, which will not match with the church calendar. I guess it's some Lenten week or something.
You know, we used to have it on Martin Luther King weekend, and there were too many people gone on that weekend, so it isn't that long that it's been moved up to February.
Ah, well, good to know the history. But anyway, this seems like a good weekend. We can always change it in the future if we want to and see, but for the last few years we've been doing this and it's been successful. So the vestry is recommending that we go ahead and make it legit and put it in our certificate and in our bylaws, and we'll see. We can always change these things in the future if we decide they don't. So, all in favor, signify aye, please. Aye. Anybody opposed? Excellent. So, once I figure out how to get the papers filed, these will become effective. Could be any time between now and maybe next annual meeting. Thanks.
Oh,
that doesn't have to come here. Okay. Well, then, forget I say it. Okay.
Okay, so.
Hey, Alan? Alan?
Yes.
Before you go out, I just would like us to say thank you to Eric.
Oh, no, I was planning to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think now we're done with all the business, are we? Am I reading that correctly? Okay, so the only thing left is for me to talk. And I'm not going to make this very long. Hi, Jed. One of the first things I do want to say is thank you to Sarah, Chris, and Mary. They have been stalwarts on the vestry. They have done so much for us, and I'm so sad they're rolling off, but I understand that they need a break. It has been a very difficult couple of years. Very difficult. And I want to give a special thanks to Eric, even though he's not here. Eric was a very strong leader through all of the things that happened to us. From the time, even before Mary left during COVID, but definitely from the time that Mary left, he stepped up and he was giving, almost another full-time job on top of his full-time job during that first year. And he led us with grace. He led us with strength. He led us with wisdom, and I couldn't have done it without him, honestly, as priest in residence, and then as priest in charge. I couldn't have done it without him. So please give Eric a round of applause, even though he's not here. I'm going to reiterate what Simon said. The three of you, if you want to join vestry again, you will always be welcome. Just let us know if you want to run again, because you, Chris, all of you just took the reins and went with it and gave all of your extra time and energy, and we are so grateful. The parish would not be in this position right now if it weren't for all of our vestry members and for our wardens. As Jed said, we were having some troubled times. It was enough that we felt that we needed to take a loan, even though we didn't, thank God we didn't use it. We've turned things around. Our intentions of giving went way up from last year. We are turning things around. Things are getting better. I don't know if any of you were at the chili, how many of you were at the chili cook-off? It was very successful. We've had We've started the concert series, which whoever was here last night, thank you to Lynette and Andy. Oh my gosh.
50, 160?
Yeah, about 160 people at one of our concerts. That is fabulous. And I cannot tell you how many people came up to me last night and said, wow, I've never been in your church before. I've lived in Chatham for, X number of years, and I've never been here. It was fabulous. There were so many people from outside the parish here, and it was just a beautiful thing. It means that what we're doing is working. We're trying to get the word out. We're advertising about the things that we're doing here. Our worship services, our numbers have been steady, and in some cases increased. We've just really made some changes that have been beneficial to the church. And as we talked earlier about the hiring of an assistant, when we hire that assistant, we can become even bigger. Because we're going to be able to communicate in ways that we're not communicating right now, through social media, through through a new website. Hopefully we were able to rebuild our website this year, getting the word out into the community, tap into Chatham, all of these ways that we're not able to do right now. These are going to be things that will help us to get even stronger. And our youth ministries, wow, I love seeing all the kids here now. When they were at the chili cook-off, the pancake supper, I mean, they're having fun together, they're building relationships with each other. The older kids are taking care of the younger kids. It's a beautiful thing. We probably now, even though they're not all here at the same time, have probably 25 kids here now, which is, it's a lot for us, especially coming back from COVID. So the things that we want to pay attention to are the things that are going to enrich our lives. And that's one of them. And I don't know about you, but all of the events that we've had this year, and I guess John's here, yeah. John has been instrumental in helping us create the concert series, which now we find is working to bring people in from outside of our community. So thank you, John. We want to keep that going because that is going to be a way for us not only to make money for the church, for income, for donations, because we do in-kind donations if we're not selling tickets. We are asking for donations for the concerts, but it's a way for us to improve our music program, which is one of the ways to have people come in and see who we are. And these are all ways that are going to make our lives better. The other thing I want to say before I'm finished is I want to thank every single one of you here. I couldn't have done any of this without your help and without your energy and your desire to bring St. Paul's back to life. All of you play an important part in building this community again and in rebuilding what we already had. So thank you. Your financial support, your time, your talents, all of it matters. We're a family here, and the only way a family sticks together and keeps itself healthy is if everyone is engaged, everyone's in relationship, everyone is loving each other. All of you are helping to form our children as they grow into the new leaders of St. Paul's. So thank you for helping and being who you are. And the last thing I want to say is we lost Jim this month, our beloved Jim Little. And yesterday was a beautiful way of honoring him. I don't know how to do this, or what, I'm looking for ideas, but I would like to find a way to have a permanent memorial to Jim here, because he gave so much over the 8 years that he was here, and he was such a wonderful person and gave us so much. So if anybody has any ideas about a way that we could memorialize Jim in the church, please come to me and let me know. I'm probably forgetting something. I'm so tired right now. It has been just a crazy week. If I am forgetting something, please remind me. But if not, thank you all. And I am so excited for 2023 because we have some good plans coming up, and hopefully we are going to make our church even better. And we can be that light in the world that is so important. Oh, that was it, outreach. Thank you all for helping with so much outreach. Read the report in your annual report booklet. We did a lot of outreach this year, and I would like to do more next year. So thank you. Thank you all very much.
Thanks, Ellen.
One thing, and that's you. So thank you.
You may close the meeting unless there's any more comments.
Is there anything else? Any other comments, questions? Anything?
15 minutes over my time, so I apologize.
We're out of here in less than an hour. This is really good.
Take a long break.
15-minute break.
Wait, John has questions?
Yes, John.
I would just like to say one thing. about 45 years ago.
Here, John, actually, take that.
About 45 years ago, I served here as an interim music director when Skip Buelas was rector. And at the time, I wasn't in a permanent church job. I was just subbing all the time, flying from church to church. And I felt so energized by the spirit that was, existed here at St. Paul's, that I had such a wonderful feeling of camaraderie, and I thought, gee, I've never known a church that could work like this. The first thing when that internship was over was to find another regular church job. So I worked for the Lutherans in Cranford for 5 years, and I've been affiliated with the Episcopal Church ever since. And I've never had a Sunday when I haven't been on the organ bench unless I was on vacation, and I feel like I've come back home. And it's so good to be here. Thank
All right, let us pray. Thank you, most gracious and loving God, for every person who is here present here today and all of those who could not be with us. We give you gratitude for all of those who serve. We give you gratitude for all of those who give of their time, their talent, and their treasure. We give you gratitude for this beautiful building, our grounds, all of those people who rent space from us and add to our beautiful community. And we give thanks for the community of Chatham. We ask, God, that you continue to guide us with your wisdom, fill us with your strength and your love, and help us and bless us with great abundance in 2023. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, everyone.
Do you want me to take this up? You want me to go shut up the VMAX?
Yeah, stop.